My name is Taylor Perkins, and I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you all to the 4th Annual Case Competition Finals here at the Corcoran Center for Real Estate and Urban Action at Boston College. Before we get to our first team who are here ready and waiting, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors for the Corcoran Center Case Competition, Capital One, Citizens Bank, and Redstone Equity Partners. We have with us today 3 distinguished judges. Representing Capital One, we have Desiree Francis. Representing Citizens Bank, we have Nicole McCloy. And representing Redstone Equity Partners, we have Richard Roberts. So on behalf of myself and Boston College, I want to thank our judges. I also want to thank all of the students who participated in this year's Corcoran Center Case Competition, in addition to our finalists. The affordable housing crisis is one of the greatest challenges we face as a nation. And I'll say personally, I find it quite inspiring to see the future leaders that we have coming into the field. So with that, we'll see 4 presentations today. Each team will have 15 minutes. That'll be a time limit that's strictly enforced. I will cut each team off at 15 minutes, as well as 10 minutes of Q&A for our judges. So with that, Team Leah Development, if you want to get started, and as soon as you get started, I will start the 15-minute timer.
Great, thank you. Let me get my screen shared. Okay, everyone can see that. I think,
Looks good.
can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. With that, we'll get started. Good afternoon and welcome. We're so excited to be here with you today to discuss the potential development of 1402 South Park Street in Madison, Wisconsin. Before we get started, I'd like to take a quick minute and introduce you to our Leah development team. My name is Emma Shaw, and I'll be your main point of contact as the team lead and financial analyst. Next, we have Alicia Fournier, our risk mitigation and outcomes specialist. Lauren Knopf is our market analyst and an expert in all things Madison. Finally, Hope Urbanovsky is our affordable housing program specialist. We're excited to talk about the property located at 1402 South Park Street, which you can see on the site map as indicated by the star at the bottom of the screen. Located in Dane County, this site is 3.56 acres zoned for mixed income housing. It's been pre-approved for the 9% low-income housing tax credit, and we're looking to build roughly 97,500 square foot structure on the site. With this in mind, today, we're going to give you an overview of the market. Then we're going to introduce you to Park Place Madison before we break down the programs, financials, and a sensitivity analysis, and give you our final recommendation on behalf of Leah Development. With all of this to look forward to, I'm excited to pass it off to Lauren, who's going to go a little bit into our market analysis.
Thank you, Emma. Excuse me. Hello, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm the market analyst on Madison and its downtown submarket overview. Because Madison is a town driven by motivated, hardworking community members, Dane County exhibited shallow unemployment rates as the total number of occupations exceeded 300,000. With a strong walkability score and bike score as well, 1402 proves to be a prime location with attainable access to key locations less than a mile away. On the outskirts of the city, there are many transportation opportunities, such as the Madison Metro Transit and the trolley system to travel from one place to another. If you refer to the left hand of the screen, you can see that we have extremely low vacancy rates, excuse me, in the market, but especially in the submarket of downtown Madison, with a rate of 1.6%. Meaning that people genuinely want to stay and live in Madison. Following this information, there are 3 existing housing buildings, all located within a 1-mile radius of 1402. And through our upcoming slides, we will demonstrate and analyze why our complex holds strong competitive advantages over the other sites in the area. With affordable shopping centers within this 1-mile location, such as a Pick and Save and a Walgreens, accessibility of affordable options is evident in the area. The combination of local parks and schools, along with numerous transportation spots, continue to prove that Madison is a hub for sustainable and affordable living. In order to gain even more knowledge of the affordable housing market, I decided to research new and upcoming affordable housing installments coming to Madison in the near future. Here we see 5 similarly sized multifamily developments with comparable locations and allocations of affordable housing units. Although these 5 developments will add 226 affordable housing units to the greater market before our development's completion in 2024, Leah Development believes that the opportunities to provided to residents will lead to competitive advantage, as Alicia will discuss within the next following slides. In order to understand the projected rent roll of 1402 South Park Street, we are going to use these comparable affordable housing spaces located in the surrounding counties. As you can see, we use the given data such as unit mix, average rent per unit, and delivery dates to best strategize a course of action that was cohesively logical. So now I'm going to pass it over to Alicia to introduce our property.
Thanks, Lauren. It's my pleasure to introduce you all to Park Place Madison. Park Place Madison is a 4-story, 97,500 square foot development with 89 total units, with up to 3 full-time employees budgeted and an on-site service coordinator. Park Place stands out from other Madison affordable housing developments through focusing on resident and community growth. Park Place Madison has 600 square feet of communal space on each floor, used completely for resident benefit, catered toward our target workforce tenants. There will be a meditation space that could be doubled as a yoga studio for recent graduates who need to unwind after a hard day at work, a family room where tenants can take advantage of extra play space to draw in families young and old, and a communal event space which could be reserved by residents in addition to providing space for the on-site service coordinator to host developmental events. The on-site service coordinator will be hired to host events that build camaraderie, promote general tenant wellness, and give residents resources to build themselves a career. The 9,000 square feet of communal workspace in the ground level of Park Place will consist of tables to encourage collaboration and networking amongst the aspiring professionals. While benefiting the tenants, the community spaces will simultaneously be drawing in demand while making the building eligible for multiple subsidy programs outside of LIHTC. LEA development focuses on building the community before profit. Therefore, only 13% of the units are market rate, while 61% are for extremely low income individuals. As Lauren mentioned earlier, there's severe pent-up demand in the market for low income housing, evident in the 1.6% submarket vacancy rate amongst nearby competitors. Park Place consists of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units to cater to multiple ages in the workforce, from established families to recent graduates. The majority of our units will be offered at a significant discount to market. The market rents seen here are conservative and based off of the comparable developments Lauren discussed earlier. Now, Hope will dive into the programs that Park Place Madison utilizes.
Thank you, Alicia. I am the program specialist, and I'm excited to be talking you through our programs that we are selecting for Park Place Madison. So in addition to the low income housing tax credit, we will also be utilizing the affordable housing program. And with the modest underwriting, we estimate that we'll have an average subsidy of $6,100 per unit. Additionally, we will also be implementing the state of Wisconsin workforce loan program. And with this, we expect that we will be able to have $60,000 per unit at a cap of $1.2 million. Community and developer benefit is something that is definitely a role in these programs. So we will now dive into the benefits of these programs. For the community, we will have over 167 residents that will have direct access to a variety of community spaces, as well as developmental professional programs. For an individual, residents will have access to the premier professional classes and will also be able to immerse themselves within their own community, which will truly make Park Place Madison a home for them. For the developer, there's extremely low vacancy rates within Madison, Wisconsin, and we can see that there will be a 50% profit for the developer upon beginning of construction, and then 50% will be redistributed at completion. All benefits are intertwined and codependent upon each other. The only way that the community will see these benefits is if we put benefits back into the community of the residents. Specifically more on the community, we really want to enhance the residents' lives as a whole, and our research shows that there are major benefits that can be seen beyond the building and that will seep into the community if we focus on the residents. Our on-site service coordinator will be able to host monthly workshops within our spaces to make sure that residents are getting the most out of their experience at Park Place Madison. Additionally, the residents will be able to utilize the communal spaces to best enhance their lives.
Now, I'm excited to take back over and go into some financial feasibility of the project. This is a big overview, so please keep in mind while we go through this that if you're interested, and we can go into way more detail later on at the question and answer portion of this presentation. First, I'd like to look at our sources and uses in this project. As previously mentioned, we plan to utilize the workforce and affordable housing programs, but the majority of our capital is going to come from the federal low-income housing tax credit and our permanent loan. You can see the surplus between our capital and uses is over $44,000, putting us in a great position for this development. Next, I'd like to break down a little more detail our 9% low-income housing tax credit, in which we will receive $1.365 million annually, of which 99.9% will go to investors for 87 cents on the dollar. Over its 10-year life, we will receive over $11.8 million of income from this credit. Meanwhile, our permanent loan will be our second largest capital source, in which we aim to maintain a 1.2 debt service coverage ratio, with an interest of 4.75% over a 35-year term and a 5.87 debt constant. Overall, we can expect to receive a loan for $4.692 million. Finally, I'd like to bring your attention to our operating income upon stabilization in year 2. In year 1, we assumed a 6-month rent-up period. So for the purpose of this presentation, we'd like to show you that excluding the annual income from LIHTC, AHP, and workforce programs, we will have an operating balance of positive $5.767 thousand. Further enforcing the financial feasibility of this development, in addition to its benefit to the community. Now, I'm excited to hand it back to Alicia to go through a sensitivity analysis.
Thanks, Emma. As the risk mitigation and outcomes specialist, I would like to first talk you through our best and worst case scenarios for this project. Although we have reason to believe our base case is already a conservative model, we would like to anticipate all potential outcomes. Even in a downside scenario like shown on the left side of your screen, we anticipate a positive first-year NOI and sufficient coverage gap. Meanwhile, in an exceptional scenario, we see an NOI of above $270,000 and almost $1 million coverage gap. Similarly, all developments come with risk, and we would never expect you to put your faith in this development project without us being transparent with you regarding these risks and our plans to subsidize them. I just want to highlight a few risk mitigations with you all, and I'd be happy to address more in the question and answer portion. Firstly, LEA Development plans on installing state-of-the-art HVAC systems to limit COVID-19 exposure and keep our workforce tenants working. Secondly, Park Place Madison has budgeted to hire 3 full-time employees to shorten the lease-up period, being 3 developments are expected to deliver prior to our opening. Within a quarter-mile radius, 68% of the population is between 20 and 64 years old, meaning a comforting amount of nearby individuals are able to qualify for the workforce program. To entice this population, Park Place Madison has varying amenities for people in each phase of life. Emma will now walk you through our final recommendation.
Thank you, Alicia. Now, LEA Development would like to leave you with our final recommendation. Develop Park Place Madison at 1402 South Park Street as an affordable housing complex designed not only to benefit the workforce and the lives of its tenants, but also benefit the community as a whole. By serving majority 30% and 60% AMI citizens, Park Place Madison has the potential to make a huge difference in this community. With all this in mind, we hope you take our recommendation to heart. Finally, we'd like to hand it over to Hope again, who's going to go over some lessons learned throughout this project.
So for lessons learned, it was a really unique experience as a whole. Coming to this case as an entire team, we had varying real estate experience and we actually had no affordable housing experience. So it's definitely a lot to learn, but we were all really excited when we got to diving into it. So personally, I'm a sophomore and I'm working with 3 upperclassmen, 1 junior and 2 seniors. And I found it extremely beneficial to work on a team with people who had prior real estate experience. Additionally, having the opportunity to work with 3 older women gave me a lot of confidence to continue to pursue commercial real estate. Meanwhile, the affordable housing industry, all the research that we were doing really sparked my interest to potentially pursue this industry further in the future. I found it exceptionally interesting how low-income housing not only enhances the overall community, but also has dramatic effects on actual residents, allowing them to spent elsewhere in terms of things like healthcare and food. Overall, the LEA development team was really excited that we got to create Park Place Madison.
Thank you so much. And now we're happy to answer any questions you may have. And we'll just take it over to our appendix so that if there's anything that comes to mind, we can click over to things.
Great, thank you, team. And we'll open it up now to questions from our judges for 10 minutes.
I was wondering, very good presentation, folks. Really, really appreciate you guys taking the time and taking us through what was a very thoughtful, analysis. I was wondering if you could do me one favor. I think it's slide 35, and I think it was Alicia who went through the risk and mitigants. You just went through it so quickly, I didn't get a chance to take a look at it. I just wanted to look at a little bit of some of the other.
So what LEA development tried to do here was cater to everything that could possibly go wrong. Obviously, we didn't touch on every topic. We tried to hit the heavy hitters, most concerningly the absorption with those upcoming developments coming in. But we think the competitive advantage we bring with all the workforce programs will really draw in the tenants that we are pursuing.
Yeah, I had seen this and I thought this was very, very thoughtful and very well done. Particularly also, in addition to your market and your market analysis and construction, but also focusing specifically on COVID, I thought was quite good. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also thought your presentation was very well done. And so kudos to all of you for putting it together. Just curious in terms of, you touched on, I think that you are targeting college age or recent college graduates as your tenancy. Just curious in terms of the comps that you identified, while they are affordable housing, do you know if they have similar comparable tenancy? So are those targeted towards family, seniors, or otherwise?
Absolutely. So when we looked at these projects, some of these comps were given to us. We did the extra step by looking over more. So we looked a lot at the age demographics of the area, and from the age demographics, as well as our workforce demographics and our labor demographics, we got the feeling that this was a target community, but they weren't generally being served by their affordable housing developments, which we think is why bringing in this Wisconsin workforce program and really targeting that in our workers from college age to older families, more established workers in our area, we're going to be able to have a competitive advantage and give us that a more secure position when we bring this project to market.
Got it. So sorry, go ahead.
In addition, I'd love to go back to a slide Lauren touched on earlier with the new developments. So out of those 5 new developments that we targeted, we would be the only workforce catered affordable housing group. We have amongst that group, I know there's senior and military catered housing. So it's more diverse than our tenants would be more diverse than their specific focus group.
Got it. And then my other question, I think the programmatic elements are really good plus and likely would be attractive to potential residents. But curious about, given the need, the low vacancy rate, just curious about, walk me through how you thought about the amenity space on each of the floors versus potentially delivering additional units to the property, since you have that large space on the bottom floor.
Yeah, and before you answer, Desiree, I was going to just ask that same question, because it actually seems like a lot of space, and it also seems as though some of it could be, you could use less space and program it, kind of combine the programming, like meditation space and a family room and a communal event space. I mean, sometimes it seems as though some of that space on different hours could be repurposed and used more flexibly in order to meet the same objectives. And it seems like a lot of, how much space is it
So
in square footage?
actually, this was all, it's 600 square feet of the meditation. Each one in the upper levels are 600 and the communal is 6,000. This was givens. We weren't allowed to change we had to have 89 units, 144 parking spots, as well as this amount of communal spaces. So it was more of our choice of what we could do with these spaces. We explored a few options, but we kept coming back to like, how can we bring in our workforce and how can we take advantage of the workspace program? And in the program for Wisconsin workforce, you are required to have a significant amount of communal workspace as well as that on-site advisor to qualify. So we decided to really focus it on the first floor around that program and on the upper floors around resident life and enjoying the space.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful. And I would just add from a real life element that sometimes you can explore exceptions to kind of what's outlined if there is either from a programmatic or if there is some kind of restriction on the property. But thank you for the answer. That makes total sense.
I had a few questions regarding the development risk. That slide, I agree with the other panelists' thoughts. It was a great presentation of everything that could go wrong. One thing that we see a lot is the construction risk and what type of timeframe is expected. You know, we all know there's a lot of construction delays. What are some of the LEA development's proactive measures due to rising construction costs and potential cliff dates, if you will, on that construction period?
Absolutely. Alicia, I think you're probably best equipped to answer this. So.
Yes, great question. So if you go to the next slide, Emma, we try to budget a higher amount per square foot than in typical market scenarios. We're also comparing our development timeline to recent developments. And there was a development that Lauren had mentioned in the market slides that was delivered in earlier this year that did end up, even though they were built in the thick of COVID, they did end up delivering in a year and a half. So that gives us some confidence that Park Place Madison would be able to deliver. But if hypothetically it doesn't deliver with those tax credits, our debt coverage ratio would still be ample enough to support the lack of income.
One other question that I had, I think I didn't write down the slide reference. It's somewhere between slide 26 and 29. You talked about, I think it was under developer benefits, about the 50% before construction and maybe 50% after. I just wasn't clear. So could you just explain what you were referring to on that slide? I think it was a slide maybe around benefits.
Yes. So specifically.
Sorry, not this. No, not this. Yeah, this slide, the yes. Bottom. Yeah, thank you.
So specifically, we had the choice of how we were going to portion the developer fee. And so we chose to give 50% upfront, like with the production of this site, and defer the other 50% to then give to them throughout the first 15 years of the development's life. This way we could really get the developer as invested in this project as we are. This is a community project. It's meant to serve this community in addition to being profitable. The developer fee ends up being about $700,000, 50%, and then another of that. So over the next, over those 15 years. So with this in mind, we really wanted to make sure the developer that we partner with is just as involved in this as us and looking for the community and the individuals. For that reason, it is 50% upfront and then 50% through the first 15 years of the project's life.
Got it. Okay.
So we have time for one more.
That was a given as well. We couldn't exceed that maximum amount.
Looking at the Excel workbook that was provided, do you have a balance of that deferred development fee that remains in year 15?
This is our development budget. If this is what you're referring to, it wasn't on that original.
I was looking at just the operating cash flow budget that speaks
Okay.
to the amount of deferred development fee being paid down each year.
Yes, that's included. So we
Okay.
included that we would, over the first 15 years, pay down 50% of that, which is included in that. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly. This is the total, but this 50,000 would be the annual payment. So that's included in this 5,767 figure.
So
And the other
unfortunately, we're
thing
gonna
that
have
we
to-
don't.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. We're a little bit over time on the questions. So I want to say thank you to Team Leah Development, and I'll ask the students to, if you're available, to log back in at 1:45 to be ready to hear the judge's decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's
Sounds
not
great.
easy to go first, and you all did a very great job. So thank you.
Wonderful job. Very impressive, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Great. And in just a moment, we will have our second team joining us. Wonderful. Welcome to Team Arrow Development. We're here with our panel of judges. In just a moment, I'll ask you to get started. You all should be able to share your screens. Once you're ready to get started, I'm going to start a 15-minute timer, and I will ask at the 15-minute mark that you stop. After that, the judges will have 10 minutes to ask you questions. So please go ahead, pull up your slide deck, and as soon as you get started, I'll start that 15-minute timer.
We're ready whenever you are. Mhm.
Go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, good afternoon. And before we begin, we'd like to give a big thanks to all the judges and case competition organizers, not only for your time, but for the opportunity to be here with you today. We are Arrow Development, and our proposal is called Creekside Apartments.
My name is Rod. I'm studying finance.
My name is Charles. I'm studying economics.
My name is Trey. I'm studying finance.
My name is Tom, and I'm studying finance.
My name is Ryan. I'm studying finance.
So we'll start off with a overview of the location that our development is in, Madison, Wisconsin. Then we'll move on to the features of our development itself. After that, we'll continue to how our development engages with the broader community and how it impacts our residents economically. Then we'll close with how we're going to finance the project and the lessons that we learned from this experience.
Over the past decade or so, Madison has seen steady population growth. With UW-Madison right in the heart of the city, the population is made up of mostly young people. Notably, over half of the population are individuals under the age of 35. Additionally, the household area median income is $103,000 in Madison. As seen on the graph, the AMI for Madison is greater than the state of Wisconsin and far above the United States in general. Madison AMI has increased steadily over the past 12 years, with only a slight correction in 2020 due to the pandemic. Although rising AMI suggests a positive future, there are still those left behind who do not reap those economic benefits. One perk of being in a college town is access to fresh startups and growing businesses. Specifically in Madison, there are numerous technology companies sprouting up. More and more young adults are moving into the region seeking prosperous employment opportunities. Companies like Fetch Rewards and Redox are hiring younger employees equipped with tech skills who also appreciate Madison's youthful atmosphere. In the future, Madison's economy will be centered around these individuals and their families who accentuate this thriving community. With the growing population, it's likely that the Madison area will need to accommodate for the influx of people with exciting new housing developments.
So what is Bay Creek, the neighborhood that our development is in? So Bay Creek is a neighborhood that has a real sense of community with individuals that are always willing to help each other and neighbors that are always willing to get together in annual events such as the annual potluck, the annual 4th of July parade, and the annual Good Neighbor Gathering event. It is also a wealthier community. It is not considered a low or moderate income census tract. And it is also a highly educated community with the majority of residents having a bachelor's degree or above. However, under the surface beneath this prosperity and this education, there is a real problem with poverty. The number of family houses in poverty has nearly tripled since 2017. There's also a real problem with homelessness. Dane County, the county that the neighborhood is in, has an average homelessness rate of 11.4 per 10,000 people. This is much higher than Wisconsin's average of 7.7 per 10,000 people. There is also a dearth of modernized housing, as shown by the fact that the median year of housing built in Bay Creek is far behind the average for Madison itself, and that number has barely budged since 2011. We plan on addressing this in our development. So keeping all this background in mind, we plan to gear our development towards uplifting the underprivileged and marginalized of Madison through helping them participate in this transition, in this prosperity of economic growth, which is what Charles outlined earlier. So we laid out 4 main principles to our development. The first is offering quality affordable housing. We want our residents to have a good roof over their head. However, we want it to be beyond just having just a good roof over their head. We want our development to have a substantial economic impact on our residents. We want it to help our residents engage effectively with the broader community. And we also want our development to be financially sustainable.
Okay, so looking directly at our development itself, Creekside Apartments on 1402 South Park Street, the building will be a total of 97,000 square feet. It will have 89 units distributed over 4 stories, and residents will have access to 6,000 square feet of community space on the main floor, as well as 144 parking spaces for their vehicles. And then in terms of the surrounding area, because Creekside is located on South Park Street, which is a major artery in Madison, Wisconsin, residents will have access to numerous bus routes. The city of Madison has said to be they're planning to create new bike lanes in the area. And there'll also be several food markets, eateries, and restaurants, as well as middle schools for residents who have families and children. And now in terms of the unit breakdown of Creekside, 78 out of 89 of our units will house residents at 60% AMI or less. 45 out of 89 of our units will house residents at 30% AMI or less. And then of these 30% AMI units, 25% of them will be reserved for residents who are at risk or formerly homeless. And now looking at the monthly rents per unit, our 30% AMI units will range from $475 to $659 per month, depending on whether it has 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms. And then our 60% AMI units will range from around $970 to $1,463 per month. And our workforce residents, which only include 1 and 2 bedroom units, will range from around $970 to $1,317 per month.
As part of our market analysis, we looked at other affordable housing projects in Dane County. Our average rent price per square foot is lower than all of these properties. And as you'll see in the next slide, we provide amenities that no other affordable housing project in Dane County provides. 3,000 square feet of the community space on the main floor will contain tables and chairs, which will be available for the educational courses provided throughout a partnership with the University of Wisconsin. These tables and chairs will be equipped with wheels to facilitate movement for storage for significant community events like the Creekside Farmers Market and Community Potluck. The current location facilitating community events was a former deli and has since been outgrown. The remaining 3,000 square feet of community space will contain a pool table, couches, a television, and board games to provide leisure activities for our residents. On the second floor, we'll have a computer lab. And on the 3rd and 4th floor, we'll have lounge spaces and bookshelves. We will also have a commercial bike rack with an automated locking system outside the lobby with 10 rentable bikes being provided to our residents, as well as a rooftop garden for our residents to enjoy. Our building will also be outfitted with accessibility features, such as lever-style handles and wide doorways to accommodate people with disabilities.
We intend for Creekside Apartments to become an important benefactor to the South Madison community. And here are a couple of ways in which we're going to leverage our 6,000 square feet of community space to make that happen. First and foremost is what we're going to call the Creekside Farmers Market. So a pressing issue that Madison faces is food insecurity, and in particular, a lack of access to healthy food for sale in certain neighborhoods. So we want to help address this by inviting UW-Madison's F.H. King Student Farm and any other local farmers or vendors to come into our community space and sell their goods once per week during the spring, summer, and fall seasons to the general public. And just to make this clear, Aero Development will not be collecting any proceeds or fees, and the logistics will be handled by property management in conjunction with the farmers who will be there. What we will be doing is providing vouchers for the market to our residents with the lowest incomes in that 30% AMI category. And based on our calculations, the total voucher amount that we will incur is $3,566 per year. And the second program is the UW-Madison Badger Volunteers Program. And they're a student service organization that focuses on education, sustainability, and public health. And what we'd like to do is to create a service opportunity for them to work with our youth residents in the form of a tutoring or mentoring program.
We plan on uplifting our residents economically, mainly through two programs. The first is through a partnership with UW-Madison Center for Financial Security to offer financial literacy and financial counseling services to our residents. Personal finance is an essential building block to financial stability. So equipping our residents with personal finance skills will give them a clear pathway to financial independence. Our second program is through a partnership with an organization called Jobs for the Future. And they offer a wide breadth of opportunities such as internship matching, apprenticeship matching, community college enrollments, and community college enrollments and university enrollments. So all these programs will help our residents integrate into high-skilled and high-demand careers such as IT or advanced manufacturing. This will help them become prosperous economically, and it also enrich the economy of Madison itself.
One of our primary objectives in the planning for Creekside Apartments was to minimize our hard debt and debt service costs. And we're fortunate enough to be obtaining soft debt from 5 different sources. First is the City of Madison's pilot program, where we'll be awarded a 50% tax cut for providing the types of resident services that have been talked about previously, that our full-time resident services coordinator will be outsourcing from the greater community. Second is the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program, which will finance $900,000 since all 89 of our units are at or below 80% AMI, and 51% of those units are at 30% AMI. Third is the Wisconsin Workforce Housing Program, where we are awarded $60,000 for each of our 11 workforce or 80% AMI units, which are discounted 10% to the market rate. Next is the Home Rental Housing Development Program, which has awarded us the maximum of $1 million for our 60% AMI 3-bedroom units, as well as all of our 30% AMI units, as well as for having all the accessibility features in our units, some of which Trey talked about. And finally is the Housing Trust Fund, where we are receiving the maximum of $1.5 million, and that's based on our location, having our rent prices within the program's constraints, and for reserving 25% of our units, as Ryan talked about earlier, for those at risk of or currently experiencing homelessness.
Given that our development will cost a little over $19 million, we searched for resources that would allow our affordable housing project to remain financially viable. Since the 1402 South Park Street development serves a low-income community, we qualify for about $11,900,000 of low-income housing tax credits, which will cover the majority of our finances. Additionally, we qualify for the 5 soft debt sources that Tom just reviewed. These soft debt sources, which contribute to 22% of our total financing, will allow us to pay for our development with minimal debt service. Finally, we will seek a permanent loan of about $2 million. Although it only makes up 11% of our total capital, the low amount of debt service from the permanent loan will ensure that our project remains profitable for years to come.
We have projected our cash flow over a 15-year period. We're going to defer our development fee evenly year over year. We have a debt service coverage ratio of 1.5, which is significantly higher than the minimum of 1.1. It is important to note that even in our lowest earning year, our project has significant positive cash flow and remains profitable throughout the 15 years.
And so looking back on this project as a whole, there are two main takeaways that we found as a group. First off, we learned how to find balance between housing low-income residents while still remaining profitable. And as Tom alluded to earlier, we were best able to reach this midpoint through our soft debt sources. Not only did our 5 soft debt sources allow us to raise the necessary funding, but also allowed us to meet the mixed income needs of the community. And then second, we also learned that in order to make a successful development, it's not enough to just build a shelter that's going to put a roof over people's heads. In order to truly make change, it's just as important to find ways to build and engage the greater community. And we ultimately plan on doing this through our partnership with UW-Madison, hosting events like our weekly farmers markets and events like the annual potluck.
And as we wrap up our proposal today, I want to quickly return to our 4 main pillars that Sarab talked about earlier. First is quality affordable housing. We're going to be building a quality piece of real estate for our tenants that allows them to get their money's worth through our ample amenities and well-equipped common spaces. Second is economic impact. Our goal is to equip our tenants to take advantage of and to benefit this dynamic Madison economy. And that's going to be done through our partnership with Jobs for the Future, the UW-Madison Center for Financial Security, as well as the new Creekside Farmers Market. Third is community engagement. We're going to be outsourcing all our tenant services, and we're going to be volunteering our 6,000 square feet of adaptable, flexible community space for greater community events. And last but not least is financial viability. First and foremost for our tenants with reasonable rent prices, and for the development as a whole by minimizing hard debt, generating positive cash flow, and keeping our expenses low, but adequate enough for us to achieve our greater ambitions for our tenants and for the city of Madison. And with that being said, we'd like to thank you once again for your time, and we will now take any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you to the team, and we will open it up for 10 minutes of questions from our judges.
When you were looking at the comparable market study for comps coming online, was there any research done to future developments and how that would impact your lease up absorption?
Yeah, we did. Yep, I've got it. So we did do several comps on future developments. There's actually one being proposed right now for the same plot of land. And it has a fully functional grocery store, which we didn't think was absolutely necessary. The rent prices are also a lot higher. And we added some usability in our community space, which allow, right now the Baha'i Cultural Center is being used for a lot of these community events. And it's very small and limited, and it limits the amount of people that can actually come to the potluck, that can access these sorts of community building events. And so we wanted to have a space that was usable enough to house these events.
Great, thanks.
Great presentation, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your thoughtfulness with this. Can you just take us through some of your construction assumptions, just in terms of time frame and costs and sensitivities? You've got an appendix there. I guess it's probably embedded there. So if you could just give us a little bit of that color, that would be, I think, helpful.
Sure, we can walk through the construction costs. Yeah, so we took a lot of it from I think the assumptions that were provided in the case. So, and I believe we add at least some amounts as to for developing the community space on each floor and adding like the bike racks. So that's basically how we walk through just the construction costs. And in regards to the sensitivity analyses, so we projected a 5 or 10%. You can go to insurance first. We started with 5-10%. We started with a 3 to 4% increase in insurance costs on year over year, and even in our least profitable or least cash flow year, which is year 15, we still have a positive cash flow. And in regards to construction, you can go to construction. Yeah. So even with a 3-month delay of construction costs, what we calculated is that we calculated the effective construction costs would be things like mainly just labor costs, things like the architect and the engineering. So and that's in the second column. So even with a 3-month delay in those development costs, we multiplied the development cost by 1.2. We assume that we would take $15,000. We assume that we would take the gap, about $300K in hard debt, and even with that, our hard debt service cost doesn't necessarily increase by much and does not take a big hit to our income. So.
Thank you.
On the, can we go to the operating pro forma? Just curious if you could dive a little bit more into some of the assumptions that you made around operating expenses, because I'm curious about your cash flow after your net operating cash flow, I think of like $52,000 a year.
Sure. So we took mainly we took the lion's share of the OpEx from the case. However, the place that we changed would be our staffing plan is from the case, and we took our maintenance work. We found the average. We found the average salary for a maintenance worker per year in Madison, Wisconsin, and we decided to pay them the average along with 12% benefits. So that's how we calculate the staffing plan. And in regards to the resident services, that's basically the staffing plan, and our 4 programs, we plan on outsourcing them through partnerships with other organizations in Madison, organizations like Jobs for the Future, Center for Financial Security, et cetera. So those transportation costs, logistics costs will basically be burdened by outside organizations. So that, along with the assumptions that were given to us in the case, like the reserves, like the insurance, the operating and maintenance costs, et cetera, that's mainly from the case. In addition, through our pilot program, we had a 50% cut to our real estate taxes. So the real estate tax would have been $114,600. So took a 50% tax cut there. But beyond that, that's generally our overview of the OpEx for our development.
Thank you.
Could you speak to how you would handle some of the development risks that usually occur with these types of projects with a short construction time frame, rising construction costs and time constraints?
Sure. So we outlined a lot of that stuff in our sensitivity analysis. So the big things that in the case, insurance and construction were the big risks that were outlined. So even with both, specifically with construction, even if we can increase it, because we have such a small amount of hard debt, we can increase our hard debt by such a large amount that our hard debt service costs would not be our hard debt service costs annually would not be affected our total hard debt service costs would not nearly be as affected as much as, say, like if you had like a large amount of debt. So we have, like, say, a lot of bandwidth for either increasing costs in just operating expenses or increasing costs of construction, because we have such a high operating balance cash flow. So when it comes to construction, we can take up the balance in hard debt, and our hard debt service costs would not increase by a large amount that would compromise our cash flow. And even if expenses go up as shown in the sensitivity analysis for insurance, even with a 4% increase annually in insurance, that would not necessarily have such a hard or a devastating impact onto our distributable cash flow, even in our lowest profitable year.
Thank you.
What type of sensitivity did you run on the market rate unit rents over the 15-year period? Because I think that's carrying a lot of your debt service. And so just curious what kind of sensitivity you ran there and how does that impact your cash flow?
So in regards to the sensitivity for the market, we determined our market rent based on, we did that based on multiplying our square footage by the average market rent or by the average AMI rent per square foot found from HUD. So we didn't run sensitivity analysis because we don't think that those will, since we got those records from HUD, we don't think that that would necessarily be changed necessarily as much. But even if market rents do decrease by a large amount, our bandwidth for operating cash flow is still very large. So we can stomach those variations in pro forma rents.
I'd also like to add there, some of our soft debt programs, such as the Wisconsin Workforce Program, require that our pro forma rent be at least at a 10% discount to the market rent. And so that went into our decision-making process to see our unit distribution and how we could handle getting the $60,000 per unit for the workforce program while also losing the rent that we might gain for having an extra bedroom in one of those categories.
Thank you.
So we have time for one more question.
Not so much a question, but a comment. I really appreciated the way you guys, I think, humanized the presentation and kind of started with the pressing need for affordable housing, generally and in the market. And I think you kept us focused on, why these projects get built, at the end of the day. And I think you're to be commended for that. And I also really appreciated the detail that you guys provided with respect to your service program, as opposed to just kind of generally referencing a service program or service spaces. You sought out, identified, actual partners who were doing things in the market, and that would be, tangible and incredible for the project's viability. So kudos to you all for taking that approach.
Yeah, I echo that. I wrote that as a note. Love the partnership with the university and the connection to the economic benefit potentially to the residents in the building. So kudos to you.
I wasn't expecting that from 5 finance guys.
Appreciate it. And we try to start off with a macro view and just try to see like the needs of the area. And as soon as and based on our research, it was pretty clear that there was despite the prosperity, there was a real underbelly, I guess, of poverty, and especially with the COVID, has definitely accelerated an macroeconomic change towards the knowledge economy. So we think, and Madison is definitely at the heart of that. So the best economic impact that we can do is just hopefully shifting them towards these high demand, high growth careers. And that is definitely in line in the spirit of affordable housing in general.
With that,
that's the story in a lot of these hot markets, throughout the country.
With that, I want to say thank you to Aero Development, and we will see you back at 1:45 if you're able to log in to hear the judges' decisions.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. In just a moment, we will have the next team, Crossroads Development.
They're great. For different reasons, but they're just, it's awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Looking forward to present.
We're excited to hear it.
Great. Good morning, Team Crossroads Development. Looks like everybody's here. So in just a moment, I'll turn it over to the team. All of you are able to present your screen. So if whoever's going to bring up the PowerPoint slides wants to go ahead, bring that up. As soon as you're ready, I'm going to start a 15-minute timer, and I will let you know when 15 minutes has elapsed and stop you there. And then after that, the judges will have 10 minutes to ask you questions. So with that, whenever you all are ready to go, please get started, and I will start the timer when you do.
Great. Are we all ready, guys?
Do it.
Let's do it. Cool. All right. We are ready, Taylor, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. We are Crossroads Development. We have had a ball working on this project and certainly have learned a lot. So thank you for the opportunity to present in front of you today. I'm Garrett Tiberi. I'm a senior studying business management and real estate.
I'm Christian Becker, a graduating senior studying finance and real estate.
Boyd, I'm also a senior. I study finance and real estate.
And I'm Carter Radzik, and I'm also a senior studying finance and real estate.
Here we have an agenda of what we will be covering today. First, I'll begin with some background on Madison and the surrounding community. We will cover our vision for our development, Park Community Place. We'll touch on value for the community. We'll discuss financial aspects of the project, and we will wrap it all up with some lessons learned at the end. Our mission, Crossroads Development, strives to provide thoughtful, creative, and affordable-based solutions for families of our surrounding communities. Our mission is to develop our residents into better versions of themselves, to create closer family bonds, equip residents with the tools necessary to enter the labor pool, and to foster a brighter future. Madison's need for affordable housing. First, let's cover some information about Madison. Madison is the fastest growing metropolitan in the state. In 2021, the city saw 0.73% population growth, with a total population of 263,300 people in 2021. The primary age concentration is quite young, between 20 and 30 years old. It has a median household income of $72,200. As of February 2022, the city saw average one-bedroom rents at $1,411. As well, the average home price is $345,000. For the affordable housing crisis to be solved in Madison, the city would need 4,000 affordable units immediately. It would need 1,000 to 2,000 units thereafter each year to keep pace with growing population demands. On the face, Madison appears quite wealthy. In 2022, the median household income was $72,200. You can see that Dane County and the city of Madison are well above the state and national median income. What is not easy to identify is the massive income disparity between a very wealthy portion of the population and a very poor working population of Madison. In Madison, there is a total poverty rate of 16.88%, in which most of that poverty is held in the age group of 18 to 24 years old, as shown on the graph, which have double the poverty rates. Nearly 38% of all impoverished individuals have high school or below education, representing that these are very low income individuals and not just college kids, as Madison is a big college town. Madison's high poverty rate means that over 44,000 individuals of the city's total population are living in poverty. That's a huge number.
Rising home prices in Madison, Wisconsin have further marginalized low-income earners, especially families. Single-family housing in Dane County have seen 6% increases over just an 11-month period. We are striving to serve low-income families for this reason. With the level of population below the poverty line, low-income jobs growing faster than the population growing faster than housing, and family housing being underproduced by nearly 1,000 units annually, there's a clear need for affordable housing directed toward low-income families in Madison. Now, looking at the local area in which our site is located, you can see that our neighborhood is in a well-developed area with many retail and service-oriented uses. Looking at some competitors in the market, you can see that we are situated in an established area. These are the current one-bedrooms, and which give us a reference point for when we talk about our affordable rents later on in our presentation.
Which leads us to our development, Park Community Place, which is located on 1402 South Park Street. Our building is a 4-story, 97,500 square feet facility, which has 81,250 square feet of residential space. This creates an 83% efficiency ratio, which pushes the norm of typical multifamily developments. Well, what this 83% efficiency ratio helps create is to maximize the construction dollar to give the most livable space for our families. Total acreage is roughly 3.56 acres of land, which gives us ample room at the back end of our property, provide great outdoor amenities for our residents, which will help foster family bonds and togetherness. Crossroads development will target low-income families at Park Community Place. Going forward to our vision of the property, we will start with the exterior of the facility. We wanted to create a modern look that appeals to families of all kinds. Our goal is to provide a pride of place for low-income families and to help make the wealth gap feel a little bit smaller in Madison, Wisconsin. Looking next at our units inside the building, you see that our units have high-end amenities such as in-unit washer and dryers, granite countertops, microwaves, ovens, refrigerators, and a patio balcony. Developing units with sleek interior designs, which give our residents pride of place, was key when envisioning Park Community Place. Moving forward, the community and amenity space, the goal is to provide our residents with the tools necessary to help develop our residents to become more productive members of society. These tools will be a residential service center, which will take full advantage of the Wisconsin pilot program with a full-time residential service coordinator. This office will feature job assistance programs, resume workshops, speaking classes, and financial literacy classes. We will also feature a computer lab, a full workout center, and a children's play area. Lastly, looking at our outdoor amenities and activities, you can see that Park Community Place wants to create an outdoor setting that brings the community together and strengthens family bonds and relationships. To accomplish this goal, there will be a covered grill area with seating, a dog park, a children's playground, and green space as well. The goal of the indoor and outdoor amenities of Park Community Place is to help develop our residents become more personally, professionally, physically, and emotionally productive.
It is important to deliver impactful resident benefits to aid the underserved, undereducated, and those who have been historically marginalized. Keeping this in mind, a benefit that will be offered is a financial literacy education. Residents will have access to tools to educate them on budgeting, consumption habits, debt management, saving, investments, and retirement planning. Through this service, our residents will be equipped with the knowledge required to retire and create a healthy life for their generations to come. As an added benefit, we will help residents open and fund an education savings account, specifically a 529 account. A tax advantage account that can be used for purchases related to education. The average annual in-state tuition in Wisconsin is $10,000. The goal of this service is to help fund 1 year of traditional college for our resident children. The funds in the account do not need to be put towards traditional college, however, and can be used for other expenses such as trade school, obtaining licenses, and certifications. One of our hopes for this program is to not only help fund the account, but to show the power of compound interest and what saving can achieve. This could motivate residents to contribute more towards savings accounts in general. Moving on to the economic community benefits, affordable housing benefits people in a variety of ways by freeing financial resources to be used in other areas. This increases spending on food, healthcare, and other resources, thus contributing to the local economy and supporting businesses. Housing also plays an expanded role in our collective economic vitality through generating local income and supporting jobs throughout the state. We all benefit when our neighbors are healthy. When people live in stable housing, they are able to get the medical resources they need and adopt healthier lifestyles. With affordable housing options, families are not forced to choose between shelter or good nutrition. This makes our communities a better place to live. Families living in stable housing situations have twice as much disposable income to dedicate to healthcare, nutritious foods, and insurance costs. Housing stability and food security increases individuals' ability to maintain medical care and fulfillment of prescriptions, resulting in decreased use of medical health care, of emergency health care, hospitalization, and shorter inpatient stays. Children in stable housing also perform better in reading and math, a trend attributed to decrease in student mobility, overcrowding, food insecurity, and exposure to poor environmental conditions causing health complications. All of these economic and community benefits show how Park Community Place lift people out of poverty and into the middle class.
Looking at the rental costs, these costs are broken down between the extremely low income, very low income, and low income unit mix shown in the charts. Looking at the rates of the extremely low income and very low income units represented by the 30 and 60% AMI charts, you may recall from the comparables shown earlier that these units here offer more affordable rates. The low income workforce units, represented by the 80% AMI chart, are priced at a 10% discount of the current market rates in the Bay Creek neighborhood of Madison, and the amount of amenities and services offered by the development will more than justify this price. Looking at the sources of capital for this $19 million development, the majority of the capital, 62% to be exact, will be sourced by the federal low-income housing tax credit with a price per credit of 87 cents. Hard debt in the amount of almost $5.7 million will be sourced using an above 1.2 debt service coverage ratio from the projected NOI. 30% of the developer fee will be deferred, amounting to 3% of our total sources. And the final 5% of sourcing will be through the workforce housing program, which we currently qualify for, as well as 1% each from the AHP and home funds. With a cash flow projection of 15 years, here you can see the increasing profitability of Park Community Place. The project maintains a 1.2 debt service coverage ratio over the cash flow term, increasing from 1.2 to 1.25, showing the increasing profitability over the term. There is an almost 25% increase in the cash flow after debt service and an almost 50% increase in the distributable cash flows, also reiterating the increasing profitability of the Park Community Place project. For our lessons learned, with this being the first exposure of any of our team members to a LIHTC development, we learned a lot of the financial complexities of these types of deals. These deals rely heavily on the amount of capital that needs to be sourced to fill gaps and the amount of eligible bases to make them even feasible. And although lengthy, this complexity has given the system much more incentive to make these deals work and overall increase the quality of life for low-income families.
For as much as we talked about financials, demographics, and any planning details that comprise our presentation, I learned the affordable housing mission is all about putting roofs over individuals' heads. At the end of the day, if that is not getting done, the affordable housing crisis is not being solved.
Regarding the impact that affordable housing has on the residents and surrounding community, from promoting wellness, financial literacy, and diversity, affordable housing creates huge value to the economy, its residents, and the community that surrounds it.
And lastly, when looking at what I learned from this project, I realized that it's not always about making a return when developing affordable housing projects, but it's about leaving people in a better place than you found them in. Thank you so much, everyone. We'd like to open up for questions. Our appendix is open for reference below.
Great, thank you, team. And we'll now start the clock for 10 minutes of questions from our judges.
Nice presentation. Thank you for that. One of the questions that I had was related to the comps. And I believe you had your one bedrooms at the 80% AMI around $1,500 a unit. But I thought I saw in one of the earlier slides that your comps one bedrooms were under $1,000 a unit. So can you just walk me through how you thought about setting your rents at the one bedroom, and what does your property offer that maybe the comps don't? Why someone would choose you over, say, one of these comparable properties?
So the comps are focused on the extremely low income bracket. So they look at 30% AMI or less. And so that is why the affordable rents are lower, as you can see there. And the one that was 1547, that was a 1-bedroom, that was the workforce housing, which was an 80% AMI or less, which was only at a 10% discount of the market rate. And so I can see how that does give a skewed view of how the comps could be better, but the comps are focused more towards the extremely low income and not that workforce housing.
And I would like to hop on this as well. I think why we use these comps as well was it shows the perception of the marginalized low-income families in this area and what we wanted to give people who are staying in these places, the service we're going to provide, the amenities, the community service center, helping them find jobs, resume workshops. I mean, all things we're going to provide for our residents that these comps are not providing. So I think everything that we're providing is going to justify our price compared to these comps.
Thank you.
You guys want to talk at all about construction, costs, budget, risks, and so forth? Just walk us through a little bit, some of those assumptions and some of the things you guys thought about when you were kind of putting the project together.
Okay. So looking at our acquisition, we assumed a small cost for other acquisition costs in addition to our $380,000 land acquisition costs. Our construction cost was given, and we included the 5% contingency. We also included heavy reserves, which we have included in the appendix as well, in addition to delays in time for cash flows and for stabilization. And does anybody else want to add anything?
I mean, yeah, we touched on it early in the project too about having the 83% efficiency ratio. So I feel like we're going to maximize those construction costs because that is an issue with affordable housing right now, matching the costs to, making it feasible. So I think making our building 83% was really well, so we can maximize our construction costs as well.
Just to expand on Richard's question on the construction risk, overall development risks, rising construction costs, time constraints, how Crossroads Development handling that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always going to be an issue with any type of developments nowadays. And I think like that's just going to be about just projecting it accurately. I mean, you're not going to get a development like this done in 6 months, maybe even a year. Maybe you can forecast 13 months if you're lucky. But that's a big issue with pretty much all developments, and that's a risk you're going to have to take. But I think that's a risk that's worth putting on to develop property like this for low-income families.
I will add as well. As far as at a certain point in our presentation, we were trying to close a capital gap, and we realized that we had not necessarily tapped all supplemental funds that we could have. So should prices continue to rise and that really become an issue, we could absorb more cost by possibly tapping some more of those funds. But also, we would expect that that wouldn't necessarily fall completely on us, as we do know that some suppliers are even taking on some of those costs as well and sort of setting a cap with their customers as to where they may cap out where their prices are for the materials.
Another quick question, if you go to your operating cash flow chart, your debt coverage is a 1.2, trending up a little bit to a 1.25. And while that is kind of the standard for most underwriting, it's tight. Which of your operating expenses would you look to reduce as you go forward, or make recommendations to your management companies to reduce to cover that?
If forced to, we could reduce some of the supportive services. That was a pretty heavy expense at $50,000 annually, but that was due to all the programs we are offering with the financial literacy, and we're gonna have to hire somebody to be able to teach those types of courses and to be able to help the residents. And if needed be, we may be able to. There may be a little bit of leeway there.
We could also defer more of the developer fee as well to counteract some of that as well. So.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can you share a little bit more about the type of programs that you were thinking about offering to the residents? Earlier in your presentation, you mentioned that I think the highest poverty rate was in the age group of 18 to 24. And so thinking about that age group as well as the tenancy that you are looking to target in terms of renting the units, if you could just share a little bit more on thoughts on the types of programs and how would they be delivered? Because I think you're going to hire a coordinator.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so one of the biggest resident services and benefits that we were going to offer was the financial literacy program and the 529 education program. These are really to show what healthy financial decision making can do in the long run, and it's very important to start those habits at a younger age. So showing somebody that might be undereducated or not necessarily know about what budgeting looks like, what retirement plans look like, what the time value of money can do and saving can do, showing those younger generations and age groups that can make a giant impact, not only in their lives, but in their children's lives as well. And so that their children's lives is where the 529 education savings account comes into play. We're offering to match up to a certain amount to hopefully pay for 1 year of in-state traditional college, or for trade schools, licenses, things along those lines as well. So just equipping the younger age with this knowledge, we feel has a very, very powerful impact in that community.
And we also provide the tools necessary to help generate that income to invest as well, with the job service programs, helping kickstarting these kids, these younger people's careers, getting involved in the workforce. There's a lot that happens once you get involved in the workforce and you start to develop skills and knowledge, and you can really go pretty far. So I think we provide both those income and also the investing purposes and understanding just how to take care of yourself financially.
And I will add, we had touched on that we may hire a financial educator. We will have a residential service coordinator at the facility, but we do also believe that the University of Madison, Wisconsin, being right there in the backyard, may be a valuable resource to tap, just as far as some possible volunteer service for those financial educational opportunities.
Thank you.
So we have time for one more question.
On my end, was very good. Congratulations, guys. This was very helpful and comprehensive. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was just going to add a very similar comment. I really enjoyed the slide, the pride of place, because I really think that is an important aspect to getting the residents, a pride of where they live, and that grows them as well. So I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll pile on. I also like the fact that you had a mission statement in the beginning, and then you could see throughout the presentation basically how you kind of continue to ensure you were truing back to that mission statement. So nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Great. So with that, I will say thank you very much to Team Crossroads Development. And in just a moment, we will welcome our last but not least presentation from Team Terra Firma. Alex, can you hear me? Well, Alex, if you can hear me,
I can hear you. Sorry.
I'm attempting to promote you to panelist, and I'm getting a message that you're declining to be a panelist. So if you get a message,
Could you send it one more time?
yeah, just go ahead and accept that. Thank you. Great. And are we expecting Marguerite, or are you guys going to proceed?
She was not able to make it, unfortunately.
Okay, great. So I would like to welcome our final team, Team Terra Firma. So you should all, as panelists, have the ability to share your screens. So whomever is going to bring up your PowerPoint deck, if you could go ahead and get that brought up. What's going to happen is I'm going to start a timer. As soon as you're ready to present and begin for 15 minutes, you'll have 15 minutes to present, and then our judges will have 10 minutes to ask you questions.
Having some problems right now trying to get Zoom and the presentation going at the same time. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think we got it. All right, so we are Team Terra Firma. I'm Alex. Joining us is
Just
Justin.
FYI, I don't see your slides yet.
I think we might have one other person. I think Jack is
Yeah, we're waiting on one person.
I think he's stuck in the webinar
He's
mode.
stuck, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, as soon as you all are ready to go, please just start. And when you start, I will start the timer for 15 minutes, and I will let you know if that 15 minutes does expire. You'll have to stop at that point.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Justin, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So I just wanted to say welcome to all the panelists. Thank you for having us this afternoon. And today we're going to be talking about our proposition for the development of our property. And let's kick it off. So I just wanted to go through like the agenda of what the presentation is all going to be about. So first, we're just going to harp upon the background as to why Wisconsin, primarily Madison, obviously needs this affordable housing. And then we're going to talk about our development and our proposition, just about the amount of units and that kind of thing. And then we're going to talk about the economic and social benefits for the community and for our residents. And then we're also going to be talking about the financing, so our developmental plans and our sources of capital and all those kinds of things. And then we're just going to harp upon at the end just the lessons we've learned about, you know, working as a team and working on this project. So obviously, just wanted to start off with just some basic like Madison, Wisconsin facts. And as you can see, it is built on an isthmus, which for isthmus, everyone knows is a very challenging geographical location just because, you know, you only have a limited amount of spots to work with. And obviously things are filling up. And, you know, there's several things that are bringing in revenue to the city of Madison, which is obviously it's home to the University of Wisconsin, which is a very big economic growth for the city. And just wanted to touch on those kinds of things. And these are kind of just reasons as to why Wisconsin needs affordable housing in the first place. So obviously, big tech companies such as Google and Amazon are kind of establishing satellite programs. And this has led to, over the last 20 years, really a boom and really an increase in Wisconsin's economic growth rate. So in the last 60 years, it's been like at a steady 1%, which is still great. It's still, you know, moving at a constant speed. But over the last 20 years, you've had
tech companies and, biopharma and biotech kind of moving into the Madison space. And that's what's created even a more larger economic boom. And with that, you have more individuals coming in, more professionals who are looking for housing, looking for places. And this is really creating diversification with job opportunities and with the economy, because it's really stimulating, obviously, like what's going on with Madison. And also in the next, I believe like next couple slides is going to be a map of where the development is going to be placed. And obviously around that development, there's just like a number of amenities, just educational programs and studio places and recreational places, and even a grocery store. So there's really a lot of benefit with our tenants and with this property being established in this area, just because of the location, how it's important to families and their children, and how they can really, there's no like hassle, it's just a matter of comfort, and it's a great destination, and why Madison should be establishing a housing unit in that area. And then I just wanted to harp upon some like the comparables to some of the other locations that are kind of in the Wisconsin area. And as you can see, there's kind of a similarity with all these locations. They're like really tightly occupied, and there's not a lot of space for more incoming people to move into. And that's obviously why establishing this unit in Madison would be convenient for the people who are living there in the first place, who need to get to work and all those essential goods. And then also, just around the world and in general, there's just been like a huge housing crisis, and establishing another unit where low income individuals can, afford, and they have all these like amenities and all these areas of space to work with, is a huge gain. And it's kind of a reason as to why we need to, or why Madison needs to establish a unit in that area. Jack, do you want to take the next set of slides?
There we go. Thank you. First of all, thank you everyone, judges, and for kicking off. So now, why target families is a question. Obviously, in the area, there are a bunch of schools. You can see elementary school within a mile, middle school within a mile, elementary school, preschool, hospital, grocery store. And so we thought this plot of land was convenient for families primarily. And you can also see stars on the map denote art and music, after school activities. So you can see it's really kind of an ideal place for families to have their kids, and overall just, a convenient place to be for families. Next up. Am I controlling the slides? There we go. Thanks. So the property is just about 3.56 acres. It's 1.1 miles south of downtown, within 3 miles of a pharmacy, supermarket, and a health clinic. It's within 2 miles of retail, dining, and banking. It's zoned for multifamily housing, again, so very convenient for that use. It's leveled and ready for property development, obviously, as you can see in the picture there. Terra Apartments. So our model, basically what we built up, we created 4 stories, 89 units. Its building footprint is 26,900 square feet. The first floor is about 6,000 square feet of common space, which we think which is going to include main lobby, laundry room, mail room, and a community room. And I'll get to why we think the community room is a good space for tenants in the next couple slides. Also, 144 parking spaces, which is 1.77 spot per tenant. And given that there is public transportation, we think that is a reasonable kind of ratio. And as well, as you can see, there's outdoor space as well for our tenants. So here's kind of a visual of the proposed income unit mix, mix of 30, 60, and 90% AMI. And again, kind of emphasizing that this is primarily intended for families, family development. We have, the 2-bedroom apartments are, kind of the majority of the units. And obviously, most of the money going towards these apartments is just generated by low-income LIHTC, right? So obviously, a smaller share of the total will be kind of designated to the 90% AMI. Amenity space, we've got a laundry room, mail room in the lobby, as well as, again, a community room for resident services and community events. So we think the community room would be obviously a good space for our tenants to bond, to build relationships, not only with other tenants, but also with the local community, with potential employers, giving our tenants an opportunity to meet with the community and have those opportunities that they really should have. Okay, outdoor space. We have an outdoor space, landscape greenery, usable outdoor space, including seating areas and a playground for families, for families, and above ground parking lot with 144 spaces. Again, 1.77 spaces per 1,000 square feet, or 1.66 spaces per unit. And yeah, again, so I think this outdoor space, is good for residents. And moving on to social benefit for residents, we will utilize Madison, Wisconsin's programs such as WIC, SNAP, and Head Start to promote food security, financial support, children's education, and more. This is, designed to foster a sense of community and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. We value service at Terra Firma, and so we believe the social benefit is really an important aspect of what we do. Economic community and benefits. Going back to, our value we have, for our residents and giving them opportunities in the community and to find employment. So it creates jobs within the building and construction. It helps to provide educated employees in the community. Lower rents means more money to be spent in the local community. Really, knowledge is power. So the more we can incentivize that, the better it is for residents generally. The better off they will be economically as well.
Okay, so I'll take over from here. So we're going to talk about the financing a bit. So we'll start with rents and income. We have a mix of 30, 60, 90% AMI, and 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom. So the rents that you see here are based off the comparables that we discussed earlier. And then also they're based off of what each income level can support in terms of no more than 30% of their income going towards housing. And then that gets us at a gross potential rent of $11,207 per month. And then if we subtract the utility allowance that we've placed based off of the case study, we get an annual gross potential rent of $1,390,212. So onto the development budget. A lot of these numbers are based off of the case. So the land acquisition, 380,000 based off the case. And then the hard costs are based off of $135 per square foot construction costs over the total 97,500 square feet. And then with an additional 5% owner's construction contingency. And then soft costs are also mostly pulled from the case and the numbers that we got about architect fees, engineer fees, and such. And that gets us to a $1,945,424 soft costs.
I am Alex, and we're going to go over a little bit about how we got all this money to build this. So as you can see here, we just have like a little breakdown on our sources of capital. As you can see, the majority of our money is coming from the federal LIHTC, and then secondary to that is going to be our hard debt. And then we have two little small supplemental sources of funding, which is going to be the workforce and the deferred development fee. So let's get right into it. So the LIHTC, as I said, is the majority of our funding. It's going to come out to $11.8 million total, which is about $133,000 per unit. And our applicable fraction for this is only 89%. And we're going to get into a little bit of the reason behind that, why it's not 100%. And then our investors are going to be buying these credits off of us for 87 cents per credit. Okay. And now we're going to get into those two little supplemental sources of funding. So we have first the workforce program. This is why our applicable fraction for the LIHTC is only 89% instead of 100%. That's because to qualify for the workforce program, you need to have either 10 units or 10% of your building's units be a higher AMI. So that's the requirement. So that's why 10 of our units are set 90% AMI. And that's going to provide us with an interest-free loan of $600,000 over 40 years. And that constitutes 2% of our total financing. And those 10 units, we split them up between 3 one-bedroom units and 7 two-bedroom units. And we felt that since our building is more oriented towards families, we thought that we would prioritize the two-bedroom units.
Unfortunately, 15 minutes have elapsed, so I do have to cut you off there and open it up for 10 minutes of questions from our judges, beginning right now.
Thank you.
I'll start, I guess, with a question because you probably were going here next. Just in terms of your operating expenses and like what assumptions you made there, and what are your cash, your net operating income and cash flow.
Yeah, I could take that. Alex, do you want to? I think we have that in our pro forma slide. Yeah, so some of the assumptions that we made were based off of, again, like the case and as well as the market. I think one thing that we need to explain is that over the course of the 15 years, we were able to get our stabilized NOI to outperform the projected expenses over the course of those 15 years, which we were unsure if we would be able to do. And that's in large part due to the pilot program that we're taking advantage of, which allows us to take 50% off the taxes or real estate taxes with, and taking into account also a 3% increase in those taxes per year. And then also additionally, we did I think we deferred 30% of our developer fee. So that's why our cash flow after debt service and our balance is different. But as you can see, the balance increases significantly over those 15 years.
Thank you.
Just want to talk a little bit about your construction assumptions and timing, costs, those types of items.
Yeah, I can also take that. So in terms of costs, I think we did get that 135.7 from the case study. So we used that number. And then also I think what we were figuring, like what we had to decide in that hard cost would be the total square footage based off of, because I do think that it was under the total amount, if I'm correct. And I think we did base that off of kind of, how do I explain this? Like construction assumptions about how much square footage each floor would be able to have, in addition to the common space area, the core space, and how much square footage each unit would need to have.
What's your timing on construction? Time frame at least?
Oh yeah, I think I'm not sure. I wasn't the one that did that part of the project, but I think one of our presenters is actually missing for today, and I think she would know. But I think I know that we did a couple years, and then we refinanced the construction loan into the permanent loan. So I think it would be like, was it 2 years? Does that seem right to you guys?
I believe it was 2 years. Yeah, for me.
One other question that I had, I like this, you had the slide that talked about like the proximity to the site and with schools and hospitals, so family tenancy was your target. I'm curious about, on the slide that you talked about some of the programs that you would utilize, if you could just share a little bit about how you would utilize those programs in terms of, is that something that you all are expecting your resident services coordinator or property manager to do, or do you have relationships that will bring those services in? So if you could just share a little bit more of your thinking around that.
Yeah, I can take that one. And just to answer the previous question, it's 15 months for the construction period. And also for the services that we plan on providing, those were all going to be managed through like our property manager / community coordinator. And the reason we decided to, focus so much on including those programs is because we really want our entire project to be really community oriented. That's why we put so much emphasis on that and allocated a lot of our resources towards that.
Thank you.
I had a quick question on your cash flow pro forma. Your resident services budget line item, does include a coordinator, or is that just resident services, the amount of expense for the programs themselves?
That does. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say that it does include.
So you have a full-time coordinator.
Yes.
I'll ask a rather open-ended question. Just wondering from your perspective, is there anything else that you would like to share about the property and the development that you didn't get an opportunity to share during your formal presentation? I give you an opportunity to do that now.
Yeah, I was just gonna go ahead. If we had gone to the lessons learned slide, we would have had plenty to say, because there are certainly some lessons learned about how many different aspects go into you know, building the development such as this. Definitely was unaware of a lot of the components that had a huge role, whether it be from the financing side or looking at the community services side and what services we wanted to provide and how we were going to fund those services and what families we wanted living and how we could adapt to our surrounding area and provide the best services possible. So all those things really had a huge play, and I was frankly unaware of all the components until we actually went through it all and did it.
I think I'd also like to jump in there and say that, well, while we were doing our market research and looking into like the benefits of affordable housing, I think there's a lot of things that we didn't fully understand when we started this case. And one of those being how much benefit affordable housing can bring not only to the residents, but to the community. And like how affordable housing can bring much needed diversity, equity, and inclusion into communities. And then also on top of that, just how stretched thin a lot of these resources are in terms of a lack of, or just a need for more affordable housing in more diverse areas. And I guess I can't say that I have any answers for that question, but just being aware of this need and the lack of adequate resources that we have today.
Yeah, I would definitely echo what Emily and Alex said, especially, you know, learning about the development process, what goes into it, all the numbers, and also, you know, how to distinguish our development from you know, alternatives. But it's just been, you know, fascinating process.
Great. Thank you, team Terra Firma. With that, we're going to send our judges away with the difficult task of deliberating. For those of you who are watching right now, if you just want to sit back and listen, we'll call everybody back. It's going to take a couple minutes here for the judges to make a decision, so we can't give you an exact time frame, but we'll ask you just to be patient, and we'll come back, announce the winners, and the judges will be willing to share some of their thoughts as well. So to the judges, if you could shift over to the other Zoom, I will see you there. And for everybody else, we will be on a brief hold until we return. Wonderful. I want to thank all 4 of our finalist teams for presenting today, and I want to thank all of the students who participated in this year's Corcoran Center Case Competition. I want to say another thank you to Citizens Bank, Capital One, and Redstone Equity Partners for your support in this competition, and to all the professionals who make this competition possible. It would not be possible without deep support from industry and from folks who are on the front lines. I want to thank our judges again. They had a difficult decision to make, and without further ado, I'm pleased to announce that the winner of this year's Corcoran Center Case Competition is Leah Development from Penn State University. In second place, Arrow Development from Boston College. In third place, Crossroads Development from Indiana University. And in fourth place, receiving honorable mention, Terra Firma Development from Boston College. At this point, I will invite each of our judges, if they'd like to say a few words. And why don't we start with Desiree?
Sure. So first off, I'd like to say congratulations to all of you. You are all winners by just making it here to this round. But I think even if you didn't make it to this round, you're still a winner in the sense that you really took the time to put together thoughtful presentations to really think about how you can make an impact in the world in the sphere of affordable housing. And so for those of you who have an interest in the field, I'd encourage you to continue to participate in this and other programs that might be available. Very passionate about affordable housing. Wish I would have known about this industry as a college student. fell into this much later in life and can really share with you. It's just really a rewarding professional experience. It's not every day that you get to see how the fruits of your labor can really impact the life of someone else. So congratulations to you all and job well done.
Richard, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Taylor, and thank you. I'd like to thank the Corcoran Center for giving me and Redstone the opportunity to participate, and I would like to thank and commend the fellow judges for participating and taking the time to do this. And I echo everything that Desiree said, and I really don't think I could say it better. The only thing I might add is that I was most appreciative of the time and attention to detail that all of the groups demonstrated in this work and in their case presentations. In addition to it being rewarding work, it's also very detailed oriented work. It's very complex. It requires command of not only financial concepts, but also understanding of the needs of local communities. And I think all of the groups demonstrated not only expertise and ability to do the work, but a commitment to it. So thank you to all the teams for your attention to detail, your commitment, and your hard work. And it really came through, and certainly appreciate everything you did. And I joined Desiree in congratulating you all, and in particular Leah, who I thought did a really good job in their presentation.
Great, thank you. And Nicole.
Congratulations to you all. I was continually impressed with each one of you as you spoke, and as I read your narratives and looked at your presentations. I thought you all had such, a great view of what a community needs and how you can support it. Again, to echo what Desiree and Richard had said, I wish I had known that this was an industry that I could be a part of and be able to contribute in a way that was impactful, and I could actually see the result at the end of the day. Congratulations to Leah, especially. I think you guys did a great job. And congratulations to all of you. And thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Great. Thank you to everyone who has participated in the Corcoran Center case competition. Again, congratulations to Leah Development from Penn State University, this year's champions. And I hope everyone has a great day.